Why don't you own yourself? What the Buddha taught. When you look in the mirror each morning, who exactly is looking at whom? We casually say, my body, my mind, my thoughts. But have you ever wondered who this I is that claims ownership over all these things? This question isn't just philosophical wordplay. It touches something fundamental about our human experience. It's a question that leads us to explore a strange and often overlooked relationship. The relationship between the owner and the owned within ourselves. This isn't about adopting new beliefs or abandoning your sense of self. It's about looking closely at your actual experience and seeing what's really there. Are you ready to question what you've always taken for granted? Chapter 1. The Owner and the Owned. A Strange Relationship. We often talk as if there's a separate I that possesses a body and a mind. But if we're honest, there's often a disconnect. An invisible gap. Does it ever feel like there are two of you? The owner and the thing being owned? We feel this separation even more strongly when we lose control. Think about a sudden illness, the trembling with fear, or the natural changes that come with aging. Our body seems to act independently, despite our sense of ownership. What about our emotions? Do we really control them? Have you ever been swept away by a wave of anxiety, or experienced a sudden burst of anger? Or those unwanted thoughts that appear in your mind, creating a constant stream of thoughts? Where is the control of the supposed owner in those moments? The Buddha understood this deeply and taught about non-attachment. He taught that we don't truly own our body or mind. There's no solid, unchanging entity to grasp onto. It's all a continuous process, a flowing river. He taught this clearly in the Anatta Sutta. He told his monks that everything, form, feelings, perceptions, thoughts, consciousness, is impermanent and not self. So, if we don't fundamentally own ourselves, what is the nature of our existence? Consider your body. It's composed of elements: earth, water, fire, air. These elements originate from the world around us. We nourish ourselves with food grown from the earth. We hydrate with water. We breathe the air. Our physical form is constantly being renewed, recycled by the planet. It's a temporary arrangement, a borrowing from the natural world. And what about our thoughts, our sense of awareness? Even these aren't entirely ours. They are strongly shaped by the language we speak, the culture we're immersed in, the experiences we accumulate. Our thoughts are influenced by everything we've encountered. Even the words you're reading now are shaping your understanding. Modern science is confirming this. Neuroscience and psychology show that our brains often make decisions before we're even aware of them. Our sense of self isn't one fixed thing. It's a story our brain creates. The Buddha understood this thousands of years ago. His message was, everything changes, so let go of the idea that you own anything permanently. So if this strong sense of ownership isn't really true, what happens when we question it? What if I own my body and I own my mind are just habits of thought? This questioning can be the first step towards freedom. It's about seeing them in a new way. Consider trying a simple practice. Simply notice. Notice the sensations arising in your body. A warmth in your hands. A tightness in your shoulders. Notice the thoughts that drift through your mind. A fleeting memory, a plan for the future, a judgment about something. Notice the emotions that come and go. A flicker of joy, a pang of sadness. But as you observe, try not to label them as mine. Don't hold on to them as if they belong to you. Simply observe them as events, as phenomena, arising and passing away, like clouds in the sky. This is the path the Buddha showed us. He invited us to observe how feelings, thoughts, and sensations come and go. He showed us that holding on to these changing experiences as mine causes suffering. This change isn't easy. It takes time to change old habits. But in that simple act of noticing, without holding on, freedom begins. Chapter 2. Why we cling to the illusion of self-ownership. We've seen that the idea of a separate owning I is far from solid, like trying to hold water in your open hand. Yet, we cling to it. Why? What makes us grasp so tightly to something so elusive, even when it causes us pain? It's like we build a protective bubble around ourselves. Inside that bubble is me and mine. Outside is everything else. This bubble feels safe. Believing we own our body and mind gives us a sense of comfort, a feeling of being in control. We tell ourselves, this is my body. I can control it. These are my thoughts. I am the thinker. It's a way of managing a world that often feels unpredictable and scary. We like clear boundaries. This is my house. That is your house. This is my idea. That is your idea. These boundaries extend to our inner world. We create a boundary around me, and it helps us feel like we have a solid place in the world. The Buddha used a powerful metaphor: the raft. Imagine you need to cross a wide, dangerous river. You build a raft out of branches and vines. It gets you safely to the other side. Once you're there, you carry the raft around on your back. Of course not. You leave it behind. It served its purpose. The Buddha said his teachings, the Dhamma, are like that raft. They're a tool to help us cross over the river of suffering. But we shouldn't cling to the teachings themselves. Even good and helpful things can become a burden if we hold on too tightly. So, where does this idea of mine even come from? We learn very early on to label things as belonging to us or to someone else. This is your toy. That's my cup. It becomes a habit. The Buddha encouraged his followers to see beyond these labels, to see the reality of things, not just the names we give them. He understood that fixed ownership can be a practical tool, but shouldn't be taken as ultimate truth. But there's a hidden cost to all this clinging. When we believe something is ours, we become very protective of it. We defend it. We worry about losing it. We get upset if someone criticizes it. This constant need to protect what we think is ours creates a lot of stress, a lot of fear. It's exhausting. The Buddha in the Dhammapada says, "From attachment comes sorrow and fear. Those free from attachment know no grief." The more we cling, the more we suffer, because everything is always changing. Deep down, we're afraid. We're afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of impermanence, the fact that nothing lasts forever. We're even afraid of death. The Buddha understood this fear. He was compassionate. He saw that all beings are afraid of danger and death. In the Dhammapada, he said, "All beings fear danger and death. Let our actions be gentle, so that we do no harm to ourselves or others." He wasn't judging our fear. He was acknowledging it and showing us a way to work with it. But this fear doesn't exist purely internal. It's amplified by the world around us, by the constant messages we receive about who we should be. Society reinforces this idea of a separate self. We're often praised for personal success, for accumulating possessions, for being somebody. We're taught to compete, to stand out, to build a strong individual identity. This constant message, be better, be stronger, be more successful, fuels the idea that we are separate, competing individuals. It reinforces the illusion of a solid, permanent me. It is not necessarily bad, but can create needless suffering. Chapter 3: Letting Go, Embracing Life's Flow. Imagine a bird soaring effortlessly through the sky. It doesn't fight the wind, it uses it. This is the essence of embracing life's flow, of letting go. How does your body feel right now? Is it still? Or can you feel it moving, breathing, changing? Is your body the same as it was yesterday or last year? Think about your energy. Does it stay the same all day? Does it change when you do things, when you feel things, when you sleep? Your body is always changing, always working to stay balanced. And your mind? It's not a fixed container either. It's a continuous flow of thoughts, feelings, sensations, perceptions. They arise, they linger for a bit, and then they pass away, like clouds in the sky or waves on the ocean. There's no fixed, unchanging thinker. Just as a river is always moving, always changing, so is our consciousness, our awareness. It's never the same from one moment to the next. It's not something we can hold on to, because it's constantly flowing. So, how do we live with this flowing reality? It's about finding a balance between extremes. On one hand, it's not about denying our experiences, pretending they don't exist. On the other hand, it's not about clinging to them, believing they are permanent or truly ours. The Buddha called this balance the middle way. It's a path of living fully engaged with life, but without getting caught up in the drama of a separate self. We can still act, make choices, and have goals. But we do it with a sense of lightness, openness, and flexibility. We're not so attached to the outcomes. Imagine walking a tightrope. You need to be aware of your balance, but if you tense up and grip too tightly, you'll fall. The middle way is like that, finding a balance between effort and ease. When we start to let go of the need to constantly protect this self, something amazing happens. We begin to feel more peaceful. The constant defensiveness, the fear of losing what we think is ours, starts to dissolve. Think about the energy you spend holding on tightly to things, to your opinions, to your possessions, to your sense of who you are. When you release that grip, even a little bit, that energy is freed up. You discover a natural ease, a sense of well-being that doesn't depend on having everything just so. It's also about recognizing that we're not separate, isolated individuals. We're all interconnected. We're all part of a vast web of life. Every breath we take connects us to the air, to the trees that produce oxygen, to the entire planet. Every thought we have is influenced by countless other minds. The Buddha taught about this interconnectedness. He called it dependent origination. Everything arises in dependence on other things. Nothing exists in complete isolation. When we see this, when we truly understand that we're not separate, our hearts naturally open. We feel a sense of care and compassion for others because we recognize that their well-being is intimately connected to our own. The Buddha said in Samyutta Nikaya, "By caring for yourself, you care for others. By caring for others, you care for yourself." So, how do we put this into practice? How do we actually start to let go? Mindfulness is the key. It's about paying attention, on purpose, to the present moment, without judgment. It's about observing your body, your feelings, your thoughts, as they arise and pass away. Noticing the sensations, the emotions, the mental chatter, but without labeling them as mine, without clinging to them. Just seeing them as events, as processes, unfolding naturally. The Buddha gave very specific instructions on how to practice mindfulness in the Satipatthana Sutta. He said, "A monk observes the body in the body, feelings in feelings, mind in mind, and phenomena in phenomena." He's encouraging us to observe, directly and clearly, the nature of our experience, without getting caught up in stories and concepts about it. This isn't about becoming passive or indifferent. It's about engaging with life fully, but with a sense of freedom and spaciousness. It's about flowing with the river of experience, instead of trying to swim against the current. It's about embracing the dance of life, without clinging to any particular step. Chapter 4: Being Without Owning, the Buddha's Answer. What if the key to true happiness isn't about having more, but about being more, fully present, fully alive, without the weight of a separate self? This is the paradox the Buddha unveiled. The freedom of being, without owning. The key is understanding change, not just with our minds, but with our whole being. Nothing is permanent. Nothing stays the same. There's no fixed, unchanging self to be found. There's nothing to own, and no one to do the owning. This isn't a negative or nihilistic view. It's not saying that nothing exists. It's saying that things exist in a state of constant change, always becoming something new. And when we truly grasp this, real freedom opens up. The Buddha pointed to this directly. He didn't offer complex philosophical systems. He simply invited us to see the ever-changing nature of reality for ourselves. And that seeing, that direct insight, is liberating. So how do we live in this world, with this understanding? It's about engaging fully with life, but without clinging or grasping. It means using resources wisely, taking care of our bodies, our minds, and the world around us, but without attachment. It is not that having things is bad. It's about enjoying things without being controlled by them. The Buddha taught a wealthy supporter, Anatta Pindika, about this. In the Anatta Pindika Vada Sutta, it's said that a wise person uses wealth without being attached to it or infatuated with it. They use it skillfully, as a support for their practice, for the benefit of themselves and others, but they don't cling to it as mine. It also means acting ethically, not from ego, but from understanding and compassion. It's about letting our actions arise naturally from a place of clear understanding, of wisdom and compassion. When we truly see that there's no separate self to protect, our actions become more spontaneous, more natural, more aligned with the flow of life. Virtue arises not from effortful striving, but from a deep understanding of interconnectedness. And it's about expanding our sense of identity, moving beyond the narrow confines of the ego. We usually think of ourselves as this separate individual, contained within the boundaries of our skin. But what if we could broaden that view? The Buddha encouraged us to cultivate a boundless heart. A heart filled with loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity for all beings, without exception. This is the practice of the Brahmaviharas, the divine abodes. In the Metta Sutta, the Buddha gives a beautiful image. Just as a mother lovingly protects her only child, cultivate a heart filled with compassion for all beings. It's about extending our care and concern beyond our immediate circle, beyond our family and friends, to encompass all living creatures. So the final answer to the question, why don't you own you, is that there's no true you to do the owning. What we call self is a dynamic, ever-changing process, a flow of interconnected events. It's not a solid, fixed entity. The Buddha's last teaching, as recorded in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, was this: be a lamp unto yourselves. Find refuge in the light of the Dhamma. He was encouraging us to rely on our own understanding, to see the truth of impermanence and non-self for ourselves, and to find freedom in that understanding. He was not saying to blindly follow him or anyone else. He was pointing to the truth and encouraging us to discover it within ourselves. That freedom is available to each of us in this very moment. It's not something we need to acquire or achieve. It's simply a matter of seeing, clearly and deeply, the true nature of reality. And in that seeing, the illusion of ownership dissolves, and we are left with the simple, profound beauty of being.